Today is day 8 of Apison's 10 days of prayer. I hope these 10 days of prayer have been a blessing to you. So far, I will say that they have been a tremendous blessing to me and my family. As a result of these 10 days of prayer, we've made an extra effort to spend special time as a family to worship and pray together. And the results have been amazing. I've seen us be quicker to forgive, quicker to ask forgiveness, and I've seen the fruits of the Spirit help us to grow and abound in love. It's been so beautiful, and this is what the 10 days of prayer is all about. Did you know that a 2018 worldwide survey of Seventh-day Adventists found that only 34% of Adventist homes are engaging in daily, regular worship, and only 52% of church members have any personal devotions at all? And my guess is that the statistics in North America are even worse, and I don't share that to shame us, but I really think we can and need to do better. As a church, we have an end-time message, a message centered on worship. The three angels' messages of Revelation 14 state that we're to call people to fear God, to give Him glory, and worship Him as the Creator. How can we ask others to worship God unless we are regularly involved in doing the same? One thing these 10 days of prayer brings into sharp focus is the fact that worship isn't something I need to do once a week. It's not something I just show up to church on Sabbath to do. We need to do it every day. Ellen White comments that there is nothing more needed in the work of God than the practical results of communion with God. That's Testimonies for the Church, Volume 6. Think about that. There's nothing more needed in the work of God than the practical results of simply spending time with God, communion with God. Nothing could be more important than the things that will naturally flow out of just spending time with God. Elsewhere, she writes, like the patriarchs of old, those who profess to love God should erect an altar to the Lord wherever they pitch their tent. Fathers and mothers should often lift up their hearts to God in humble supplication for themselves and their children. She continues to write, let the father, as a priest of the household, lay upon the altar of God the morning and evening sacrifice, while the wife and children unite in prayer and praise. In such a household, Jesus will love to tarry. That's from Child Guidance. In Acts chapter 1, verse 8, Jesus said the same thing. He had told his disciples that they needed to gather together and pray, and that only once they had spent enough time in prayer, they would receive the power of the Holy Spirit, and only then would they be sufficiently ready to be his witnesses to the end of the earth. I wonder, have we spent that time together in prayer? We need the power of the Holy Spirit to be his witnesses. We cannot be his witnesses without that power, which Jesus said would come through prayer. The restoration of personal and family worship among God's people is perhaps the most pressing need of our time, but it won't be easy. Today, we face the challenge of technology that increasingly occupies our time and alters our minds. Our addiction to media has left us anxious, irritable, lonely, stressed, depressed, sleepless, and unhappy with our station in life. Ironically, personal and family worship have the opposite effect. Worship calms our minds. It decreases our loneliness. It reduces stress. It increases peace. It fulfills our emotional needs and teaches us contentment. Could time spent in worship be the antidote to our frazzled minds and restless hearts? Absolutely. Now more than ever, God is calling us back to his heart, to consistent times of refreshing in his presence. If we will spend regular daily time with God, we will be transformed into his image and empowered to finish his work. Let us ask God for a special outpouring of his Holy Spirit on our worship experiences with him. We need the precious blessing of communion with God. So we'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. at the church. Come ready to share about how your time praying these past 8 days has impacted your life. I look forward to seeing you there. How has your communion with God been enriched this week? I can't wait to hear.